All right. Hello, everyone. Happy New Week. My name is Bridget. Again, welcome to Bridget's Line, where I interview thought leaders, influential people on the current state of affairs. Today, I have the great honor of interviewing Mr. Godfred Khartey.
Exactly, Bridget. You got it. You got
I
it.
wanted to say Corte again.
No, you got it. You got it right. You got it right,
Awesome,
Bridget.
awesome. He's a fellow countryman. He's currently in Beijing. Just to give you a little scope of what we're going to be talking about today, of course, we'll talk about, generally what's happening now, which is the pandemic. But Godfred is also really keen on business ideation. And I think that's something that, given this period of time that we're in, we can spend time doing. That would be a really useful exercise for a lot of people. So without further ado, Godfred, I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience. So a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, where are you now, and why are you there?
All right, Bridget. Thank you so much, and thank you to your viewers. Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm Godfred Sowah Khartey. I'm Ghanaian, but currently in China. I've been here almost 4 years now. I'm currently pursuing a PhD in law of the sea. My interest in law of the sea just came about as a result of climate change issues, and as a result of oceans and seas being polluted and all that. I just wanted to gain some knowledge to see how best I can also impact my society or my community. But aside that, I most often than not like to refer to myself as the stubborn optimist because I believe that sums up who I am. I believe in thinking. I believe in the thinking process, but not just thinking, but putting your thought to action. So that's what I've been doing for like for like almost half of my life now. I've been thinking through ideas. I've had ideas, you know, incubated. Such ideas. I developed some ideas when I was like back in high school and all that. Some of them are still in the incubation stage. Others have given out to people who are implementing it and all that. So yes, I see myself as a thinker. I see myself as the stubborn optimist. So that's me. That's Godfred Sowah Khartey.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to go back into your introduction. There are so many things that I want to touch on. But before we do that, let's quickly touch on the state of affairs. I don't want this interview to be about the pandemic, right? I want it to be about your core interests.
All right.
But let's quickly talk about, where you are and what you see going on around you. You're in Beijing. What's the climate like right now?
Wow. Okay. So I must say that a few months back, like about a month and a half, almost 2 months back, it was a very sad situation here. Beijing almost came to a screeching halt. You could you could you could actually count the number of people on the street, and that was not Beijing. That's not what Beijing is known for. People were indoors. People were in what I call self-imprisonment. Like you are indoors so that you protect yourself from getting the virus. Because at that time, the virus was at its height here in China. So we're all trying to protect ourselves. I personally, I was indoors close to about 30, 40 days. You know, I mean, we only went
Consecutively.
out.
Wow.
Yeah, we only went out when we needed to get groceries. And even with that, we did it so swiftly. So we went to the shops, you paid, like you got your groceries, you paid, and boom, you're out of there. Like you don't even stay a minute or five or something to maybe chit chat with a friend. You get it and you're out of there and just come home. Immediately you get home, you either have to wash all the things you bought with vinegar or maybe with salt water or something. You wash your hands and everything so well. You have to wash your face and all that too. Like it was it was really a situation, but I can say that currently life seems to be getting back to normal. This afternoon I decided to take a walk, and people were enjoying their afternoon life, sitting outside, having their coffee, their tea, having lunch and all that. So
So you
life
see
seems to get,
restaurants are open and
yeah,
things like that.
restaurants are
Oh,
restaurants
wow.
are now starting to open and all that. You see people on patios and things. Eating. Trying to make meaning out of life now. So that at least gives me hope that very soon the rest of the world is going to get back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
and all these lockdowns and shutdowns and, social distancing and all that, we are going to get back to our normal lives. But we'll get back to our normal lives having learned a lot of lessons from what COVID-19 has taught us.
Right. And I think for the optimist in you, that's the best statement you can make. You do believe that
Exactly.
we'll get out of this and this will be positive. I know
Yep.
some people actually don't think that. They think what's going to happen is there's going to be kind of a receding of individual rights and freedoms. They think we're going to live in quote unquote the new world order. So it's very, very reassuring to hear someone talk about things kind of returning to normal, right? With the
Well, there's going to
lessons.
be a new world order.
Okay.
I'm sorry to catch you, but there's
Yes.
going to be
Tell
a
me
new world
more.
order.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a new world order, but in this case, it's going to be a world order where individual and collective responsibility is going to be given the needed credence. Like, we are going to respect individual and collective responsibility, because COVID-19, in my opinion, has taught us that as individuals, we are not just responsible for ourselves, but also responsible for our neighbors, right? So what I do is going to impact your life. Likewise, what you do is going to impact my life. That is what COVID-19 has taught us.
Right.
So yes, a new world order is going to be shaped. We're going to see things happening. We are going to see people being kind and gentler, like our Ghanaian ambassador here, Ambassador Godfred, said some time ago, that there's going to be a new world order where people will be kind and gentler now.
Wow.
This whole thing about social distancing. I was telling a friend of mine a few days ago that I believe it is going to continue. We are going to have social distancing post COVID-19, right? Because right now, businesses, companies, institutions, governments have seen that. I mean, you can hold a meaningful meeting on Zoom, on Skype, on all those medias. Like you can hold a meaningful meeting and gain results from them. You don't necessarily have to travel miles to say a meeting place and all that. So I was telling a friend of mine that I won't be surprised if after COVID-19, you would have some board meetings now taking place on Zoom, taking place on Skype, instead of people coming to assemble in the boardroom and all that. So yes, there's going to be a new world order, but it's going to be one of hope. I mean, people's rights, I don't believe people's rights are going to be taken away from them. But what's going to happen is that people are going to be careful. People are going to be cautious. People are going to look out for each other. We are going to be our brother's keeper. We are going to make sure that if we see something wrong with our brother, we go to help, because the world has realized that one person cannot do it all alone, right? One person cannot do it all alone. We need each other in this fight. That is what COVID-19 has taught us, because health security is a very, 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 very important thing. Not one country can handle it alone. No matter how strong or powerful the country is, you can't do it alone. You need
As we
a
see with
concerted.
America. Right. Definitely. Well, I think this is a great perspective. So on that note, let's shift to talking about kind of what I know is your deep passion, right? As someone who's a thinker and ideator. My first question to you is, what is the kind of framework that you use to ideate? Like you say you're a thinker, do you just sit there and ponder, or is there a framework you use to make that process constructive?
Okay. So what I would say is that normally, I mean, one thing about me is I find it easier working when everyone is asleep, right? So I have very odd sleeping patterns. I mean, not everyone is like me, but I have very odd sleeping patterns. I can either sleep in the morning for just about 3 hours or 4 hours, and I'm okay. It means I'm going to stay up the whole night. So what I do is that when I go out of my room every time, I like to walk around a lot, because that's where I get my ideas from. That's the first thing. I walk out. So I walk around. That's where I get my ideas around. I mean, that's where I get my ideas. So when I move out there and then I see the problem or a situation out there, I ask myself, how do I solve this? And I'm mostly with a very small brown notebook of mine. I've had that brown notebook for like 5, 6 years now.
Wow.
a very small brown notebook of mine. I always replace the papers. I mean, you can put new papers back
Oh,
into it.
okay. I was
Right?
going to say, and it hasn't ran out of papers yet.
Oh, I mean, it has. But you can put new papers, or I mean, you can always put new papers into it. So I
I
always have
see.
that book. So anytime something comes into my head, I pen it down, right? And when I get back to my home or something, I sit down and I think through it deeply. One thing about ideation is that you have to be careful not to just leave it at the ideation stage. You see, most often than not, we tend to think too much and tend to mix up a lot of things. When I started, I was like that, right? So the truth is, I mean, in the initial stages, I never completed any idea. That's the gospel truth. I never completed any idea because others were coming, and it's like, let's say, you want to develop, say, an app, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to start with basic features first, right? And all of a sudden, you start getting ideas of some other serious features, and you try to put all of that together with your basic features. It doesn't really work that way. That is why apps, day in, day out, always have what? Updates. So the updates will give you the newer features or the added features. But I wanted to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, I wanted to do everything at once. What I'll say is that you do not necessarily have to do everything at once. It does not have to be perfect at the onset. It doesn't.
So what do you mean by going from the idea stage to implementation? What does that mean for you?
Okay. So for me, for the implementation stage, that is where linking up with like-minded people come
Mm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes we get paranoid that, I mean, I'm going to tell this guy my idea. I'm going to open up to these people. Are they going to take my idea? And in the next maybe month or two, I'll see my idea out there on the market. Sometimes we get paranoid. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I mean, we are right to sometimes get paranoid, but you need to know the people you are dealing with. You need to have done your research, into or about the people you are dealing with to be sure of what you are getting yourself into. If it means that you have to sign an NDA, you go ahead and sign an NDA. If for sell that idea to someone, fair enough, then you know that you are selling that idea. So that is cool. It's not something that maybe you want to implement yourself, but you want to sell it. That's on another note. But if
Right.
it's something that you want to implement, you need to know the people you are dealing with. Because I believe in teamwork a lot. I believe in teamwork a lot. So most of my ideas that I've incubated and all that, I've worked with either two people, three people, to bring it alive, because you need a team for that to happen, right? So it's important. Know the people that you are going to get yourself involved with, so that you are not shortchanged.
Mm.
You get it? Also, that your paranoia doesn't become a reality. So
Right.
know them very well. Yeah.
Right. So for you, most of the time when we talk about implementation, for you that doesn't necessarily mean going out to market with the idea. That just means perhaps talking to people and giving someone else the idea. That's really,
Yeah.
really different. How did you,
Yep.
because like the first time I talked to you, you want
Mm-hmm.
you told me an idea that you think I should implement. And I was like,
Yep.
really? Because most people try to harbor all of their great ideas to themselves. So what triggered you to start thinking about implementation as a given of ideas rather than like a go-to-market kind of thing?
Honestly, if I tell you I have an answer to that, I will be lying.
Mm,
Honestly, I have no answer to that. But I believe in the sharing of knowledge, right? I believe in the sharing of knowledge, right? I believe no one person can do it all alone. Like I said earlier, no one person can do it all alone. I might have that idea, right? But I might believe that, or I believe that maybe you have what it takes to actually implement that idea and bring it to life. That's why the first time we spoke,
right,
I told you about that idea of mine. And I was like, I mean, I think you should go ahead and do it and then
right,
implement it. And I
right,
realized that you were surprised on the phone that I was telling you something like that. But I didn't
right.
see anything wrong with that, because I always feel the need to share, right? Because I always feel like day in, day out, nature presents me with so many ideas. I cannot do it all alone. You know, it's not about greed for money. You know, for me, I see social entrepreneurship as trying to help society, trying to solve a problem in society. For me, it's not about the greed for money or anything per se, right? I want to help society. I want to solve problems in society. So when an idea comes into my mind, if I have the capacity at that particular point in time to do it, I'll look for people that can support me in doing it. If not, I will share that idea with someone that I think can do it. And I'll tell
Right.
the person that, hey, you know what, go ahead and then get it done. So, well,
Well, what
that's
if someone, someone does take your idea and make $1 million off of it? Would you expect anything in return?
truth is, no, I wouldn't.
I see.
No, I mean, because you know so well that the idea I told you about and I told you to implement, if you should do it and you should do it very well, you're gonna have like you're gonna have millions from that. You know, but truth is, I mean, like you said, I could have kept that to myself
Right.
because anyone who thinks of an idea or anyone who hatches an idea, right, knows the potential of that idea. Like you have to know the potential of that idea. You have to know the impact it's going to make, you
Right.
know. So for someone to say, nah, you take this and do it, it means the person might have weighed the potential already, and the person doesn't really care or mind if it goes, you know, good or whatever. I have a friend, he does it just like me, you know what I mean? I have a friend, he does it just like me, Jesse Johnson. He's a great talent. He also does things just like that. He also believes in the sharing of ideas, you know, and that is how we do our things, you know. I mostly do my stuff with him, Jesse and Jude and Co. You know, yeah. So that's how we do it.
I love it. Okay, so then let's kind of recontextualize then. Like on any average day, I would say, okay, let's all go and ideate and think and then spread our ideas, right? But this is not an average day. We don't
Yep.
live in average times. We're
Yep.
really in an unprecedented situation in the
Yep.
world, right? So what do we do? Like, is there value now while you, for most people who are thinking about survival, maybe will this affect me? Will I be able to have a livelihood? How
Mm-hmm.
then do you think about thinking and ideation at a time such as this, right? And I want you to take me back to, let's say, 2 months ago, when it was the darkest times you had seen in Beijing, in China generally.
Mm-hmm.
Be completely honest. Were you able to find the mental space to ideate or
All
to
right.
think?
I mean that is a very tough question you asked. I mean, because we spoke during that period, so I'm
Yes.
sure you know so well what was in my mind. To be honest with you, at the beginning, it was not easy because there was so much apprehension at the beginning because like no one really knew what this whole virus was about. You know, people were getting infected and all that, people were dying. You know, you wake up and it's like 5,000 people have been infected and you have like 20 or 40 people dead. You wake up another morning, it's like 100 people dead, 7,000 people infected. You know, there was one morning we woke up to I think about plus 15,000 confirmed cases or something. It was scary during those moments. But you know, at a point in time, I told myself that I do not want to come out of the COVID-19 situation without necessarily having done anything better in my life. Right? So I challenged myself that no matter how tough it looks like, no matter how, you know, emotional the whole thing seemed, no matter how mental the whole thing seemed, I was going to make time to ideate. I was going to make time to sit down. I was going to make time to go through my mind, to pick my mind. It
And this
was
was during the darkest times, or
this
was
was
it?
during the darkest period here in China.
Wow.
Trust me,
So what did you do? Did you
this
set
was during
aside?
the darkest period here.
Did you set aside, let's say, an hour of your day? How does someone who's kind of trying to push through it? What's the strategy? So you told yourself, right? You're going
Yeah.
to do this. How
Going to do.
how did you do it?
Well, so this was what I did. I mean, like I said, I am pursuing my PhD degree. So what I did was that I divided my time, right?
Mm.
So from the morning till about late afternoon, late evening, I'll be doing stuff that were related to my studies. So I'll be reading articles, writing papers and things because I love to write. So I'll be reading articles, writing papers and stuff like that. Then I'll sleep in between, and then in the evenings, right, after I've watched, say, news, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, CGTN, or I mean, after I've scanned and scrolled through every possible news, you know, item that I can, I now
Mm-hmm.
sit down, most often with a cup of tea by my side, very hot. It helps me in my thinking. With a cup of tea by my side, right? With a cup of tea by my side, and then I
Right.
begin to think. So what I do is that I ask myself the things I've read concerning my studies. Are there any challenges that came out of it? Any challenges that will need some social engineering, some social entrepreneurship to deal with, and I start to pick things up and about. And remember the first time we spoke, I told you that I was intrigued about climate change. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see how best I can also help with
Mm-hmm.
climate change and all that. So I remember one of the first things I did was to ask myself, how do how do we get rid of the filth on our beaches? You know, Marine litter, marine plastics, and all that. How do we get rid of it?
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to pen down an idea, and then I shared it with an institution back home in Ghana that I think we can look at this idea and then see how best to develop it to help rid our country of marine litter, marine plastics, and all of that. So I did that on the side,
So this
and then
was during the darkest period in China.
yeah, this was during the darkest period in China
Wow.
because I wanted to do something. Like the thing is that
You wanted to come out with something
I wanted to come out with something. Right? I did
instrumental.
not want COVID-19 to end.
Mm.
Uh, and then I asked myself, oh, so what did you do during this period? I mean,
Mm.
you were at home for like 40 days. What did you do? And my answer would be, oh, I didn't do anything. I just slept. No, I mean, I did not want that to happen to me. you know. So aside that, so I did that, and then I went back onto older projects that I had incubated, older projects that needed some tweaking here and there, older projects that needed me calling a few friends here to say, hey, do you want to join me to do this? Hey, do you want to join me to do that? So I went back to such projects, and yes, some of them are almost completed as we speak. They're almost complete as we speak now. Others too are, there and there. You're a thinker too. You know how difficult it can sometimes be to get those things right.
Right.
So some too are here and there. But the most important thing is that I was able to challenge myself to still bring out ideas, able to challenge myself to still carry through and carry on from where I left off with older projects. And I
Wow.
am proud of myself. I'm proud of what I achieved. I remember that period, my parents would call me, are you okay? Do you want to come home? And all that. I go like, yes, I want to come home. And then later they'll go like, I go like, no, I'm not so sure. Because at that time I was working on something over here with a friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to leave yet. I wanted to make sure that I've seen through that.
So were you worried about your well-being, like your own health, right?
Yes,
Like,
I was.
and
Yes, I was.
even in that mode, you were still able to kind of think outside of survival and.
Yeah, you have to.
Mm,
Yes, I was. I was worried about my well-being, like there was nowhere I went without my nose mask. Even sometimes at home, I was wearing my nose mask.
mm,
Even sometimes at home, like maybe I go, let's say I go to the living room or something. Before getting to my room, I'll stop by the washroom and wash my hands before getting to like the bedroom itself. Like I was just being very, 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 very cautious. So
Cautious,
yes, I
right.
was I was very wary of my surroundings and things. I was conscious of my health and my well-being, but that didn't stop me from wanting to challenge myself, from wanting to do better.
Mm.
Because if there's anything I've learned whilst growing up, is that enough is not good enough. You know, I mean, yeah, you can do enough, but is it or was it good enough in achieving that goal that you wanted to achieve? So I've always believed that enough is not good enough. You should challenge yourself. It is not about, you see, people think that, oh, it means you're not content with what you have. No, there's a difference. There's a difference. You can challenge yourself and still be content with what you have.
I
I'm
love it.
content with who I am, with what I have, but
Of
I still
course.
challenge myself because I still believe that there's still a lot of potential in me that I haven't even tapped into yet. So I want to tap into such potential, you know,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's always good to
mhm.
connect with people like you, because anytime we speak, like you always have something going on,
Oh.
like you always have something going on in your head, and it motivates some of us,
Oh,
it does
that's
motivate
really
some of
kind.
us. So yeah, yeah.
That's really kind. So I'm looking at my notes. When I look at the site, I'm looking at my notes here, and I like to kind of reframe some of these things so that it's really clear in my mind and perhaps will help to make it clear for my audience. So what I'm hearing you say is that, well, let me ask before I rephrase, would you say that ideating during that time actually helped you through it?
It did.
Mm,
It did. I mean, that's a fact. It did
mm,
because it took my mind off what was happening.
mm,
It took my mind totally off what was happening. So I wasn't thinking about coronavirus anymore. Right now I was thinking of, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. Oh, okay, this is how I want it to be done. Oh, okay, let me write a proposal on it. Or let me call people who are in that field. Or let me call this friend. Let me speak to that person. Let me see if she's interested. Let me see if
mm.
he's interested. Can I get an investor? Can I
Right.
sell the idea? Should I sell the idea? Should I partner with someone?
Mm,
You know, so
right.
it took my mind off coronavirus, like totally took my mind off it. Totally. And
That,
I'm happy to say it did,
right.
and I just wish that people would also take it up like that.
Right.
Think of something else than the virus.
So to get through this period,
Yeah,
ideate, think about how to solve problems that,
exactly,
in areas that you care about, right?
exactly.
And what I heard you say was there were two ways you did it, right? One was through your field, so people can go back to their field of interest, whether it's what
Yeah,
they're doing at work or what they studied, and look at new material that's coming out, and what are
exactly,
the issues that are present, how can I
exactly,
solve it, etc. Or you
exactly,
go back to old projects, right,
exactly,
and then you try
exactly.
to improve upon them in
Perfect.
some way. Okay, good.
You got it.
And then you also talked about, the importance of kind of liaison with like minds during this time, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
on the projects, going talking to friends, would you be interested in working on this? Would you be
Yep.
imagine coming out with I know the inventions we're going to have after this would be incredible
Incredible.
in the world.
It
Yeah.
will be it will be incredible
And your
because in
name will be
Ghana,
part of it.
oh, I mean, yeah, hopefully
Yes.
by God's grace, because even in Ghana, we have had there's this guy, I think one Judo say, who
Right.
did this solar powered, washing
Yes.
machine.
Yes.
Very, 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 very incredible.
Yes.
This is someone who has virtually thought outside the box,
Right. Right.
and this thing can be stationed at vantage points in the
Right.
whole of the country.
Even after the pandemic, to help
Yes,
people
after the
just
pandemic,
be more
exactly,
health conscious.
exactly,
You get what I'm
exactly,
saying? These are, you
exactly.
may come up with a solution that's specific to the pandemic, but down the
Yep,
line, it'll just be a
boom,
useful technology, right? It's like
exactly.
having toilet paper. Now you have that, you have that solar panel,
Yep,
construct everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, so this has been really useful because I think not only have you talked about the importance of ideation during this time, but
yep,
how to do it. So my final question for you would be, you know, what does the future look like for you, especially in relation to ideation? Why are you laughing?
Well, I think you know what it does look like for me, you know, but all the same for your audience.
Okay, yes, for my audience. So tell us what. Okay, so now Beijing is getting out of lockdown, right? Things are
Yep.
returning back to normal.
Yep.
How has your thinking changed, right? Has the process changed? Has the type of ideas you're getting now changed? Um, what does that look like? Because for some of us who are not in China, the world looks still very dark, right? So how is it on the other side when you come out of it? Come out of
All right.
like the tunnel, right?
So what I'll say is that yes, I do believe that we are in unprecedented times. Like what is happening is just, you just cannot understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scientists are finding it difficult to understand it and all that, right? But I also do believe that there is hope, and I do believe that this whole situation, this whole world coming to a screeching halt situation has presented us, especially people of our generation, right? It has presented us with the opportunity to reevaluate, right? Retool and refocus. These three things: to reevaluate, retool, and refocus. That is the opportunity this period has presented us with. And we must not in any way at all squander that opportunity. We
Mm-hmm.
must take everything that it comes with, right? So if whether you are still in the university, whether you have completed university and you are employed or unemployed, whether you are in high school, whether you are in primary school, wherever you are, whoever you are, you know, this should be a period for you to have some reflection on your life.
Mm.
You know, this should be a period for you to look at yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want to achieve in life? You know, our president said something yesterday. I just want to paraphrase it. You know, at the end of his speech yesterday, he spoke about African exceptionalism. And that is something that we have to embrace as a people. That
Mm-hmm.
is something that we have to embrace as Ghanaians. You know, being being Ghanaian or being patriotic does not mean, it just doesn't mean you having a Ghanaian passport or having a Ghanaian birth certificate or you being able to prepare a Ghanaian dish or you having Ghanaian parents, having Ghanaian grandparents, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or you being able to wear a Ghanaian attire or an African attire. It means more than that. It means dedication. It means commitment to yourself, to the people around you, to your family, to your business, to your employees, to your employers. It means a lot. And this period should be able to teach us how to harness all those things. See, we cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to leave this period the same. You know, it
Pressure.
cannot be, it cannot be business as usual after
Okay,
this period.
I
It
agree.
cannot be that. If for you it's going to be business as usual after this period, then please you need to go back and think.
Mm.
Honestly, you do need to go back and think because if not for anything at all, social distancing has taught us that you can socially distance yourself, but then still be productive. You know, we should not use social distancing as an excuse not to be productive. So even during this period, acknowledging how difficult it is, it should not stop us from being productive. Now, where do I see myself after
Okay,
my
so
studies?
take it from here. How does your ideation look now after COVID? Does it look different? And then you can tell us about, the future, because I guess we talked about the past in Beijing.
The
Now
past,
let's
yeah.
talk about, the present. Like, does your ideation process look different? And then please close out with what your future looks like in terms of the process that you've committed yourself to in terms of thinking, and trying to solve problems.
Well, yeah, with my ideation, the one we spoke about the last time,
Mm-hmm.
that looks done. That actually looks done. Just
Nice.
waiting for things to simmer down a bit, you know, borders to open and all that, you know, to go out of 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 China, talk to a few people here and there, try and
Okay.
get some few investors into it. So that that looks solid. That looks solid. So I mean, hopefully, maybe by the end of the year, that should have been rolled out. All things being equal, and by God's grace, that should have been rolled out. You know.
Wait, so Godfred, I guess what I'm saying is, do you find that you're able to, let's say, think clearer or think differently now that the pandemic is sort of behind China? Or what I'm hearing you say from your statement right now is now you can, after the cloud has kind of moved away, you can start thinking about what are next steps, right? For the different things that you were ideating during that period. Can you clarify for me?
Well, mine is simple. It's not about thinking clearer whether before or during the pandemic.
Okay.
For me, I've always challenged myself in life.
Right.
So no matter the situation I find myself in, I try to ideate. Right? That's how I am, no matter the situation I find myself in. So I will ideate today, I will ideate tomorrow, I will
I
ideate
see.
yesterday, no matter the situation. But the thing is that the whole COVID-19 situation actually taught me how to ideate under extreme emotional pressure. It taught me how to ideate under extreme emotional pressure because I had to be juggling, COVID-19 thoughts in my head with my ideas too. So that taught me how to, put the two aside and work with the one that I want to work with. So yes, if I should say, I'll say yes, I can ideate at any point in time, but COVID-19 taught me how to ideate under extreme pressure. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so let's conclude with any final thoughts from your side that you want to share with my audience.
Well, so my final thoughts are simple, and maybe I might end up repeating myself again, but all I'll say is that it doesn't look so dark, like we think it is. Yes, it's okay. It's okay to feel anxious. It's okay to feel scared because we are all human, but it's not okay. It is not okay for you to remain in such fear, for you to remain in such anxiety. You have to get out of it. This is a time for you to build your resilience. This is a time for you to build your courage because we are in a connected world now. In so much as San Francisco is like a block away from Beijing, and Accra is like a mile away from let's say New York City or something, right? So we must know that it is going to get better. But when it gets better, what do we have to show for it? As individuals and as a collective. So what I'll say is believe in yourself, stay safe, stay home if you have nothing doing outside. Just stay home, stay put, protect yourself and protect your neighbor. Social distancing works. So let's just do it and let's try it. And trust me, we shall sail through this together.
Wow. Thank you so much, Godfred. I think this has been, I've had a number of guests, but your energy and optimism, I think is really strong. So some of my conversations have been more kind of questioning, but you are very kind of, very steadfast in your belief that we'll get better after this. So it's a very different perspective, and I think we, some people will definitely need to hear it, and will appreciate it.
We will get better. There's light at the end of the tunnel, all right?
We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Nee.
I appreciate you having me on too.
Yes. Okay.
I appreciate you having me on too.
Thank you.
Okay.